I think something interesting is that with COVID, I've been trying to fix my sleep schedule, and along with that, I've been trying to go out and exercise a lot more, especially since just how hot it is right now. I've been trying to go on runs more in the morning or just before going to bed, and that keeps me trying to find like a more balanced schedule. Like if I'm running before going to bed or running late in the day, it'll get me tired and ready to go to bed and then get up and actually do work in the morning, do things in the morning. So I've been trying to lead more of a healthy style, not just in terms of like trying to exercise and trying to go out running, but also sleeping better, eating better, and things like that. Just because we're stuck at home all day, and I feel like it's something that's kind of on our mind. We're reminded of how we should be trying to take care of ourselves, host from, as Ashwin was saying, from a mental health standpoint, from a physical health standpoint, and just all around trying to better ourselves so that when we come out of the quarantine, we're less potatoes and more people that are ready to take on the post-quarantine world.
Oh wow, that was well said, man.
Yeah, I felt the potato thing. That
Yeah,
was like me at the end of the first semester or like
for
first
sure.
year.
I think especially since we were all sent home from school after like a bit after our midterms and like finals were right about to come upon us. I think it was like at a stage where I think a lot of people were feeling really burnt out. Um, they worked hard for like 3 months and all of a sudden like they were told, hey, like you like there's a big change coming now, you gotta go back home. So coming back, I think like that lazy spell hit me very quickly of like, oh, like I gotta sleep for a couple of days properly at least, and the days turned into the weeks, and like the bad eating habits sort of followed.
Yeah,
So then like
definitely.
finally snapping out of it was definitely huge.
I think it's awesome that you all have found some ways to try to stay healthy during these times. And you seem to have touched on a lot of great points, like Ash, when you were talking about taking care of your mental health as well, which is really important too, because, like, what are you without your personality and taking care of your brain? And also things like getting enough sleep, because, I mean, we're all teenagers and regular sleeping schedules is not something that we're always thinking about. But it's something to keep in mind when our days don't have as much structure to them and stuff like that. So, a question for all of you then would be, you're all trying to maintain a sort of healthy lifestyle, but have you come across any sort of challenges in doing this?
Oh yeah, definitely like all the time. My family definitely buys, at least like my brother especially buys like a lot of sweets. So we still have like I know like Nutella in the pantry, or like we have ice cream right now in the freezer. And I definitely had like an ice cream cone yesterday, because I to be fair, it was mostly also celebrating the end of finishing the challenge because I just did that yesterday. But at the same time, it's definitely been harder to say like, oh, I want to take care of my physical health. I want to eat more, I guess, just healthier and more nutritious foods. But then the pantry definitely has a significant amount of like cookies and like ice cream and things like that. So it's really easy to just like grab a snack from like that if you're like hungry in the middle of the day. So it's definitely, I think, also like more of a psychological aspect point as well. It's like you have to, I guess, get yourself to like, instead of if you wanted something sweet, maybe reaching for like fruit instead, as like a way of like establishing that habit like ahead of time. Because at least for me, like my family definitely still buys a lot of sweets, and so it's kind of like managing that in spite of there being a fairly high supply of it. So it's just kind of establishing that habit, I guess, early on, to pick like healthy alternatives instead.
Yeah, I think adding on to that, just like the environment at home is not exactly ideal for staying fit. Like for everyone that's doing like summer courses, for everyone who's like working, like your office is now like a couple steps away from your bed, which is also a couple steps away from your fridge. So one, like your entire like baseline for living, like in terms of food, water, shelter, is like all within like a little, like a couple square feet. Um, you're not exactly like motivated to like move around much, or like keep your like even your eyesight and your hearing in check. It's really easy to just stay focused on your desk, which I'm like kind of guilty of sometimes. um, so like that's definitely been hard, like trying to find a healthy balance between um, like defining when to work, when to rest, when to watch YouTube or Netflix or something. And I feel like one needs to like, make sure they have like their schedule in mind to keep themselves healthy.
Yeah, I think part of it also is the fact that since we're stuck at home and we can't hang out with our friends, something that actually keeps you somewhat healthy is just going out with your friends, whether that's like doing a physical activity, even if you're not doing physical activities, like just going out under the sun and hanging out and, I don't know, walking around downtown or going out to different places. It keeps you kind of on your feet. Whereas when you're stuck at home, hanging out with your friends is I take 2 steps off of my bed and open up a Zoom call, literally in my pajamas with some friends. So just not being able to even go out and hang out with them in person kind of just lets you sit around at home and return to that couch potato state.
Yeah. I mean, the pajama calls are always nice though, but yeah, you gotta mix it up too, and like get some outside time as well.
Yeah.
Since you guys mentioned being outside is very important for not only your mental health but staying active, what precautions are you taking to make sure that you're staying safe as well as protecting other people that might be enjoying outside as well?
Yeah, for sure. So I currently live in Bell River, Ontario. So for reference, that's about 2 hours southwest of London, right near the very bottom of Ontario. So it's like pretty rural environment. So honestly, in my neighborhood, there's like not people outside at all. So I don't really need to worry about walking on the street or running. But whenever like say I go grocery shopping or whenever I go into town to like pick something up, obviously the masks are like absolutely essential. It's not just about like preventing yourself from inhaling things, but it's for showing that like you have a decent amount of respect for the people around you and that you care about them and not getting them sick. So that's something I've done. I tried running with a mask at first, honestly, but then I realized that was probably like more counterintuitive than useful, just because like there was no one else around and I was kind of just choking myself in my own sweat. Kind of felt like waterboarding but in reverse. But like, yeah, I think one of the least responsible things that someone can do right now is like engaging in like in a sport that's like not easy to distance in. Like take I don't know. My friends and I suggest we're gonna play basketball, and like the local court, and there were people there that like they weren't mindful of like the families that were around just sitting on the grass. They weren't wearing shirts, so like their sweat was just dripping all over on the different surfaces. And like you got to be mindful of those kind of things right now, especially since there are people that are at risk around you. Even if you are healthy yourself and you claim that, oh, I'm going to be fine if I get the virus, I'm not worried at all. It's more important than ever to like keep in mind that there are people that are less fortunate than you.
Yeah, it's interesting. My neighborhood, I've noticed that there are actually a lot of people out. Honestly, more people out walking around than before COVID. Honestly, people are trying to find those opportunities to go out. So trying to take care of myself is involved in like going out to areas where there aren't so many people, trying to go out, going to like forests where there aren't people and going on trails and things like that. And just trying to mind my distance around other people. Even just the street outside, like street outside my neighborhood, there are a ton of people who I've considered running along like Main Street. I don't know if you guys know the area around me. Actually, I don't know if any of you guys are from my area, but there's a street near me that has a lot of restaurants that some of them have actually tried like opening up for. I know there's a bubble tea place that lets people come by and get bubble tea. I've just totally
Ooh,
avoided
bubble
that
tea.
area. Bubble tea, yeah. There's this I don't know if what's it called, but there's a bubble tea store that's opened back up, and I've just tried completely avoiding that area because I know it's a terrible idea just to get myself in that like huge mob of people where you don't know if anyone else has the virus, and it's just about trying to keep yourself safe around other people.
Yeah, and what Daniel said is especially true for me because I feel that a lot of places, or at least my neighborhood especially, has also been very highly active in terms of like if I go to walk my dog, let's say around like 5 or 6 or like even like 7, there's like many many people just walking around and just hanging out in like the park nearby or like in the school. And just the amount of people that are walking around, definitely much higher than, like Daniel was saying, like than before COVID. Like if I walk my dog before all of this, I think I might run into like a few people, maybe max, but then now it's like multiple like numerous people. And that definitely does get me nervous, like when I'm going to walk, especially because I have to be mindful of just the sheer amount of people walking. So I might want to like walk my dog like sooner to like avoid the like initial crowd that happens like later in the day. So that's something that I've been like planning around.
Yeah, and I know that like you're mentioning, Ashley, like a lot more people do seem to be on the road right now, like enjoying nature. So it does feel like a lot more people are taking the time to enjoy nature right now, like because of COVID, because of like having to stay indoors. Do you think that people find it more valuable or like have a greater appreciation towards nature and the outside world in general?
I they might, but at the same time, I feel like they're gaining this appreciation at the wrong cost, because there's a lot of people that
That's
are
true.
just coming out now, and especially actually a surprisingly amount of the people that I've seen walking around are that might be more of like the vulnerable population. Like I've seen a lot of like kids and like very
Mhm.
young people walking around, and a lot of more senior citizens as well. And I feel like that's definitely something that really concerned me, is that people are fine with these individuals just walking around, and then everyone's just basically from all age groups is just kind of walking around. And it's definitely good that we have a greater appreciation from nature, but at the same time we shouldn't express that appreciation by just everyone walking around in large amounts, and just that's just
Yeah.
way too much of a health hazard.